Okay, this is to show you how to install the ButtonWorx keypad repair kit in some older Panasonic telephones. This works in a lot of different phones, and this one here is the KX-TG2593. You can get the model number on the bottom edge right there. Any letters after the numbers, at the end there's a B. That's just color code for black. It's not really black, but that's what it's there. Other color codes or country codes, doesn't really matter. This one's missing some parts, but this will get the gist. There's a rubber plug that goes over here that you can just pop off with a flat screwdriver, and then there's a screw under there. To get the battery cover off, you can put a dime or nickel or something under here, but I got the screwdriver, so you can pop that off. And then there are 4 screws here that come out that are already missing. Once you get all 5 screws out, you can just take this back cover right off, and there's no wires or anything attached to it, so that can just go over there. Another thing that this phone is missing is the charging pins. There's little metal shaped things right here that stick out on the side. So what you have to do is grab that well, just push them out. They'll slide out this way. Take those and set them aside, and keep their each different. So the right one has to go back in the right place. So you might want to just put them somewhere that you can keep track of which end they go in. Then we have one screw up here holding the antenna in. Take that out. And the antenna, you gotta just pull it out a little bit. It's in the way, so you just pull it out just a little bit, and then you can grab the phone, and you kind of pull it out this way first. The headset jack is kind of stuck in there a little bit, so I pull that out that way. There's this little foam gasket. It's part of the water-resistant feature of this phone. It's not really critical if you don't want to put it back or you forget about it, but once you get that out, you can just flip the phone over like that. Now the buttons break because the rubber keypad oozes oil, and the pills here, conductive pills, wear out and dirt and oil gets in there. Cleaning can help it for a little while, but it's just going to go bad again, and you're going to have to do this again. This is a permanent repair. You'll never have to deal with it again. It blocks new dirt and oil and replaces the contacts. And this material does not wear out like the rubber does. I would pull out the keypad. It's probably going to be really gooey, oily, and wash it in hot water in the sink, hot water and soap, and just dry it off good, and put it back. And you want to make sure all the buttons pop up through. If one of these buttons is kind of stuck crooked under there, it'll hold the button down and none of the buttons will work. For the keypad, the circuit board part, you have to clean this really well. And I use rubbing alcohol. Isopropyl alcohol, 90% is the best, but 70% is more common. Just wet down a rag and clean those buttons. And you want to keep this from getting really soaked down with alcohol, which is pretty easy to do if you're just using a rag. If you're pouring it on there, it could be bad. I've seen a lot of these, it's just so gooped up with oil that it's hard to clean off, and what I'll do is put the battery cover under there to raise it up a little bit, and just dump rubbing alcohol and kind of soak it, maybe spread it around gently, let it soak for a bit, and then clean it up if that's necessary. But you want to get it nice and clean so you don't feel the oil. It's nice and smooth. It's not sticky or anything like that. Now, this keypad has a cutaway part up here, because there's a lot of phones that don't have buttons up here under the display. And this covers a lot of models, so some of them may not have space. So you might have to cut this off. If it actually fits, you know, if there's just no buttons up here in the circuit board, you don't really need to cut it off. You could put it in there if you want, or you can cut it off. But this phone does have those buttons. Now you can see the keypad is made to fit right here, and there's cutouts for, there's solder points and battery connector down here, and a cutout for the microphone. So it really only fits in one way. But you want to peel this off and stick it down. It starts to tear, just go at a different angle. It's not difficult. So I've got the membrane, and just, I'm going to start up at the top with those two holes there. And there we go. Yeah, so you can see there's cutouts for all this stuff. The LEDs here. And that will completely solve the problem. Flip the phone back around. Now remember, this little gasket thing here is pretty common on these. Just put it back on like that, and then you gotta kind of tuck it down first, like that. And then the antenna goes in, and put that screw back in. And then you got to put your charger pins back in from the outside, push them in, and there's little screws in there that you must have taken out before. Put those back in, and then the top just sits back down. Make sure you're not pinching any wires when you put this back together. Like, you want to put the wire over the screw hole. So there we go. And then you put those five screws back in, and you're all set. And after that, the buttons will all work great, and you shouldn't have any problems again.